Being a bad person can make you a lot of money. And inside of just 90 days, I made over $100,000 from scratch, no prior experience, exercising these techniques. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how I did it and tell you how to do the same. Now, number one, you need to completely ignore your family and your friends for a while. And you might be thinking, Tom, I live with my mum. Tom, like, what am I going to do on the weekend? Exactly. You need to move out of your house or be outside of your house as long as you can, or put some strict boundaries in place so that they do not come within contact of you. You almost need to set up a fucking mental restraining order so that no one can come in your space and affect the energy that you've got going on. Because to make $100,000 inside of 90 days from scratch with no prior experience, like I just said, it takes a lot. And no one can get in between you and that goal. So friends, family, they're going to have to sit on the bench for a short period of time. And people might say that's selfish. However, I would disagree, and I would say that's selfless, because you're willing to sacrifice two of the most important things that people have in this world and put them to the side in order to be a better person for them in the future, and to give more to them in the future, and to inspire them in the future. And that's exactly what I did. Although I, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months even, was really isolated, didn't really speak to my mum, didn't really speak to my dad, maybe a quick conversation every 3-4 days. All of those friends that I just had to completely ghost for a long time. Now I'm able to inspire them. Now I'm able to fly my mum and dad to Dubai. You'll see in previous vlogs me flying them here, showing them around, taking to nice places. We've got a trip to Lake Como booked in a couple of months. I'm able to really provide for them now, and that's always what I wanted, and that was always the plan all along. You just have to go through bad times sometimes and be a bad person in order to become the best version of yourself. The truth is, you just have to be completely dedicated. You have to be all in, and it's not a matter of even just being selfish and just not having time for people. It's really the mental factor, the brain power factor. When you are trying to achieve something which not many people achieve, being a young man, being brave, getting in the online space, starting a business, backing yourself financially, backing yourself, by taking, let's say, a less good job opportunity like I did. I chose to work in a supermarket. Yeah, I chose to work in a supermarket rather than earn more money somewhere else, so that I could use the time that I had to make more money in the longer term. You see, people were only thinking about the next 1, 2, 3 moves max, even just 1 or 2, to be honest, let's be real. Whereas I was thinking at the bigger picture, so maybe I had to take a step back in order to take a step forward. And that's exactly like the way I like to see it. I'm not too envisioned on the micro, I'm really on the macro and how everything's looking in the bigger picture, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year plan. Not many people know what they're going to be in 5 years. Not many people even thought about what could possibly happen in 5 years, let alone set up a plan to make that happen. So make sure you're zooming out, thinking about the bigger picture, and you have to sacrifice 3 months in order to have 4.5 years of amazingness in the future, or really the rest of your fucking life. It is worth it. So don't be too focused on the weekend or this evening or next month's party or anything like that, or next month's paycheck. In my half, like, I was earning £1,000 a month at Waitrose by choice, so that I knew in a couple of years' time, where I'm at now, I could be earning £100,000 per month. And if I chose the other option, to go and earn maybe 2 to 3K a month in a harder job where it required more of my time and more of my brain power that I didn't want to sacrifice, then I would not be here today. And I would have chosen pennies over thousands. But let's get back onto the story, because you guys need to be an absolute bastard of a person if you want to make $100,000 inside of 90 days. And the next thing I'm going to say is you need to step on people's toes. Too many people come in the online business space and they forget what business is all about. Business is all about stepping on people's toes, going after competition, not giving a fuck if you take someone's client, not giving a fuck. You have to be able to be ruthless, to not care if you're taking food off someone else's plate, because at the end of the day, that's what's happening. Look at the bigger picture, look at the bigger world, look at Elon Musk, for example, the richest man on the planet. If he still is, I'm not sure. I don't really keep up to date with irrelevant things. And Elon Musk is suing his competitors. And this happens a lot in America, really, because I think Americans, they do business the best. They're hardworking. They got that like American dream, and they won't let anything come in the way of it. And they will sue every single competitor and fucking do crazy things to go and win. And obviously you got to look at that and be inspired. For example, I know, I think 50 Cent said before that he has to pay 10 million a year in just lawyer fees because people are always trying to sue him. They're always trying to claim something. They're always trying to get one up. And that's how it is in America. And although, you might look at that and think, oh, thank God I'm not over there. I do look at that and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty hard. Like, you can just go claim some stuff, and you have to be ruthless in this game. So, for example, the first Model Y sign, let me get back on track in regards to OFM. Was she from scratch, or was she already with another agency and I sold her on a bigger dream that would make her more money than her current team, and I took that model from that agency, put it into mine, made it work, obviously backed up my word. She went on to make hundreds of thousands per month. However, I took food off someone else's plate. Were they going to go and make 100,000 a month with her? No, they didn't have the skills. They were already with her for a long time. However, you have to be able to have that ruthlessness in you, that there's only going to be one winner, and it's either me or it's them. And that's how business is, and that's how business should be. In today's day and age, when every Tom, Dick and Harry wants to start an online agency, and there's a lot of people that come into the space very soft, and they're going to be in for a rude awakening. And the same's happened to me. I've lost clients. I've been robbed before for hundreds of thousands of dollars, like I've said before on my channel. If you want to watch that video and go into more details on it, it's below. But you have to really be willing to take food off other people's plate, and also be open to the fact that food is going to get taken off your plate, and not cry and moan and complain and sue when that happens. Another thing which is going to make you a terrible person is other people's perceptions. So although you might not be a bad person inside, people are going to view you as a terrible person, whether that's your old friends. So for example, people, when you go on to make a lot of money, are going to find ways or listen to rumors on things that you're doing bad to make money. So for example, let me tell you a story. I had a couple of very good friends growing up, people that I spent every day with for the course of years. And as soon as I started making money, obviously I had to sacrifice the amount of time I was spending, but the relationship sort of cracked from other reasons. And when random stuff starts happening, or people will hear a rumor or X, Y, and Z, they will jump on that rumor and run with it and use that as a sort of tool to try and bring your name down, to try and make themselves feel good. Because deep down, they probably know that they are getting absolutely smoked on by you, and they thought they was the big G, and now you've come along, you're making cash, and they're still in the same town, in the same position, doing the same old bullshit, and got no hope for themselves. So it's really just, it's a sad situation, and I know a lot of people go through the same stuff, and me and Mason growing up, we definitely did. A lot of people will try and drag you down, and even some people from my hometown that I've helped start their own agency, they've witnessed the same thing with the same people trying to literally drag them down when they were best friends to begin with. It is crazy, and in other people's minds, maybe you are a bad person, but you're just doing what's right by you. You're focusing on yourself. You're being selfish with your time. You're being selfish with your thoughts, your emotions. And that's what's needed in order to provide for the people that really matter. Like I said, your family and your close friends. Like a lot of people, when you see someone young with money that might wear flashy things, don't have any gold watches on now, but they would view you as a scammer. They'll view you as, oh shit, that guy must be a drug dealer. That guy must be doing fraud. Like, for example, when me and Mason were driving up to Manchester one time in a nice Mercedes, this was when we first started, we probably looked like kids, and two guys pulled up next to us in a traffic stop, and they looked over, and there was two travelers, let's say, and they looked over and they were like, is that a Chordy? And we were like, no, it's ours. He was like, no, it's definitely a Chordy in his little Jippo accent. And honestly couldn't believe and was laughing at the fact that we were 19 and 20 in a nice Mercedes on the fucking motorway on our way to Manny. and they couldn't believe. And obviously they thought we had stolen the car. It was drug dealer, scammer, stolen the car. That was the first things on their mind. Whereas we were just running up some cash online, completely legally, running a business. But people will automatically assume that you're doing something bad if you're making a lot of money online. That's just like something that comes with it, you know. It's a shame because people have to reason and justify with their own mind. When no one's around, when the lights are off, when they're in bed and they're alone and you're still in their thoughts because you have a lot of money or you're successful, they have to make reasons with themselves as to why they don't have it too, as to why they can't do it too. And they will use their morals as a sort of high ground, even if it's not even true. So even if I'm not a drug dealer, they'll probably say, oh, he's probably a drug dealer, I would never sell drugs, so that's why he's got that and that's why I don't, even though I don't sell drugs. So people will always put themselves in a moral high ground to make themselves feel better about not making money, and you'll see this happen a lot. Hate is just a tax that you pay when someone isn't willing to do what you have done. It's going to come with the journey. Just accept it. You're going to be a bad person in a lot of people's eyes, but who gives a fuck at the end of the day? For example, let me bring up another story. Like, let's look at Vince McMahon. Maybe he is a bad person after the shit that's come out recently. I don't know. I don't know the details. However, let's look at his WWE takeover. He was viewed as a villain. He was ruthless. He started off as a small little company and started taking all of his competition's fighters, started taking their territory, eventually locally, then, you know, regionally, stately, whatever the fuck you call it in America, and eventually was conquering the whole of the United States until there was a couple other people left, and they was going to war every single day for the public's attention for their channels, and they was doing crazy sort of things. If you've watched the Netflix documentary, I would recommend watching McMahon. It's a very, very good series, and it will actually teach you a lot about business and a lot about dedication and obsession, because he was probably one of the hardest working men on the planet in the times where he was maneuvering about in the WWE scene. You know, there's lots of stories and crazy stuff, but you just have to go watch it for yourself. But you have to be ruthless. Let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg, you know, kicking one of the founders out of the company. The moral of the story is, to be number one, you have to be a bad person. You have to be willing to put others out of business. You have to be willing to take food off other people's plate. You have to be ruthless. You have to wake up every day with a vision of you absolutely smashing and decimating your competition. You have to wake up every day and not give a fuck about people's perceptions of you, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. You have to be open and be willing to be viewed as a bad person in 2025. That's how you're going to have to put yourself out there. That's how you're going to have to present yourself with that not give a fuck attitude, because that's what you need to go and be successful in 2025 in the online business space and go and make $100,000 inside of 90 days, just like I did. Now, if you want some other tips and tricks, there's a lot of other stuff to the game. Go over to my Telegram channel, it's just below, and you can keep up to date with the daily game, daily voice notes. I have a free OFM guide in there on how we scaled to over 10 million in 3 years. So go and have a look. It's completely free. Take care.